There's an update in that guy, Yuri Berlinger, who wrote who wrote the piece exposing their just hardcore left bias. We knew, but we didn't have all the details around it. And now we've got a lot more color on just how bad they are over there. He wrote for the Free Press in a remarkable piece. He's been suspended 5 days without pay. It's a formal rebuke. And the reason is, according to David Folkenflik, who works for NPR and reported on this, that he failed to secure NPR's approval for outside work for another news outlet. He has been issued a, quote, final warning saying that he will be fired if he violates NPR's policy again. He has said that he will not appeal the punishment. And NPR has said the other thing he did was publicly release proprietary information about audience demographics, which it considers confidential. That, I believe, is a reference to the fact that notwithstanding their making NPR into a living, breathing DEI machine, they have just rock bottom numbers on Hispanic and Black viewers and listeners. They're shocked to find out that diverse communities are not obsessed with race and identity the way the white liberal elites who work at NPR are. And this comes as we find out, this is one of my favorite stories today, that the new CEO, she came on in January, of NPR, is hardcore resistance, vote, mask wearing. I mean, this is she must have been my neighbor on the Upper West Side. Catherine Mayer is her name. Actually, she's from Connecticut, Wilton, Connecticut, the Tony town of Wilton, Connecticut.
Yeah, of course.
And Chris Rufo has been doing a great job pulling some of her tweets, which I would love to share with you guys because I think you'd like to get to know Catherine and opine on the state of American media. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple. September 27th, 2018. She wasn't at NPR at the time. She used to run Wikipedia. This is during Christine Blasey Ford's testimony before the Senate. I'm angry, hot angry, slow angry, relentless angry. Jeffrey Toobin's reacting. The anger is going to fuel, it's going to fuel and burn for a long time, and it will deliver back exponentially. Okay, that's her. That's Christine Blasey Ford reaction. August 16th, 2019. This is after Trump said he might open California's giant Sequoia National Monument to development. There are so many injustices piling up, it becomes hard to not just sit and cry. Just sit and cry. She goes on to say, January of 2020, I grew up feeling superior. Ha, how white of me. Because I was from New England and my part of the country didn't have slaves, or so I'd been taught. And then follows up shortly thereafter in February with, I'm a super big public transit nerd. I hate private cars in cities. I love bikes. And yes, I love buses. Transit justice and climate love in one humble hunk of rolling metal.
My God.
Okay, I'm not done.
It sounds made up.
I know.
It sounds
right?
made up.
Like an AI version of what you'd think would be running NPR. Here's August 2020. Had a dream where Kamala and I, she dreams about her and Kamala going on trips.
No way.
Had a dream where Kamala and I were on a road trip in an unspecified location, sampling and comparing nuts and baklava from roadside stands.
What?
Okay.
No.
Yeah, there's more. She's mad about the Tom Cotton piece in the New York Times. It shames the New York Times to publish an op-ed that should and would never have passed journalistic editorial review. November 7th, 2020, after Biden won. I can't stop crying with relief. This person is now running NPR, and I do think I'm not out on a limb when I say Yuri Berlinger's days over there are numbered. What do you guys make of it?
Yeah, so I went and I looked through her tweets, and they are far crazier
bangers
than any of those. I'll put one up right here. She says, I know that hysteric white woman voice. I was taught to do it. I've done it. It's a disturbing recognition. While I don't recall ever using it to deliberately expose another person to immediate physical harm on my own cognizance, it's not impossible. That is whiteness. Like, how
that was after
broken
Central Park Karen. That was her reaction to Central Park Karen.
Yeah, how broken and deranged are these individuals? And the thing is, you know, she's coming from Wikipedia. This used to be an arbiter of truth and is now going to be given taxpayer dollars to have their message spread. Like, it is
Right.
unbelievable
As NPR
how
does.
deranged these people
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
At least she's copped to understanding what a hysteric white woman voice sounds like. Right?
Yeah.
They just have to
She had the
add
wrong takeaway from
you
it.
got to add the tip top Chardonnay and all of that included, and then you pop out a CEO of NPR at the end
Yeah.
of it. It's
There's-
amazing.
There's this one from July 2020. Lots of jokes about leaving the US, and I get it. But as someone with cis white mobility privilege, I'm thinking I'm staying and investing in ridding ourselves of this specter of tyranny. I mean, Ashbrook, you're right. It sounds like AI, right? Who would
Made
say
up.
this
It
for
sounds
real?
made up. And there she is in her Joe Biden for president hat,
Yep.
marching door to door to get people to vote for Joe Biden. It's the most
With her
biased.
mask.
Like, get out of here. And by the way, can I just say something else about this punishment for Uri Berliner, where he supposedly released proprietary demographic data? I mean, we already know who the demographic is that listens to NPR. That was no news to anybody. But aren't we entitled to some of this information? We're paying for it.
That's a
It
good
was
point.
Ronald Reagan who said he's paying for that microphone. We're paying for theirs. Don't
That's a
we
very
get
good
to know
point.
that? In Uri, he wasn't allowed to talk to Barry Weiss without getting permission from David Folkenfleck and from this from this woman who's a volunteer campaigner for Joe Biden. He has to call them before he talks to Barry Weiss. I'm sorry, I thought Barry Weiss paid for NPR too. She's just another taxpayer who's asking questions, wondering why it's been so terrible over the years. And all Uri Berliner is doing is saying, well, you know what? I counted in the newsroom, and 87 people were Democrats, 0 were Republicans. I am a Democrat. I grew up in a liberal household, and all I'm saying is maybe we should have a little more balance in our network. And she's like, no, sorry, you're almost fired for that.
Well, even
Get out of here. It's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life.
But it's even worse than that. I think Ashbrook is the irony. So she put out this statement basically responding to Uri Berliner's commentary on the state of journalism at NPR. Mind you, again, we've read all of this woman's tweets where she talks about being a hysterical white woman and reducing everyone to their identity and their race and their gender. Actually, from her statement responding to him pointing out the fact there's no Republicans on the entire staff,
Right.
she says, questioning whether our people are serving our mission with integrity based on little more than the recognition of their identity is profoundly disrespectful, hurtful, and demeaning.
Oh, it's the identity thing.
Oh,
Amazing.
wow. Well, who started talking about identity? Was
Boy,
it
that
you?
dog came back to bite, didn't he?
That's the funniest thing is like NPR can have support groups for BIPOC, gender neutral basket weavers, and all of that sort of
It's
stuff. But
NPR Noir. NPR Noir. That was
But
the-
heaven forbid
literally.
they have a Republican on staff. That would be offensive, and that would be reducing people to their identity. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
And also
There's no
the way
NPR Rojo.
the way she led that question, that her statement asking a question, you're not allowed to ask questions at NPR.
No.
You're not allowed to ask any questions. You know what? We've said something here on the program here for a few days, and I think we should repeat it with you, Megyn Kelly. Ich bin Uri Berliner. To quote President Kennedy.
I'm not sure, guys. You know, this is how he began his piece, which was actually equally amazing to the body of it. He writes, the stereotype of the NPR listener, an electric vehicle driving, Wordle playing, tote bag carrying, coastal elite. It doesn't precisely describe me, but it's not far off. I'm Sarah Lawrence educated, was raised by a lesbian peace activist mother. I drive a Subaru, and Spotify says my listening habits are most similar to people in Berkeley. I'm not sure if I'm Uri Berliner, but I get the point.
Ashbrook's friends with all journalists. He's a journalist himself.
Well, no, I like honesty.
Yeah,
and
like-
this guy was honest
Yeah.
up front, and he's honest about the problems at his network. He wants balance.
that's-
that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the thing, Megyn, is like, if we could at the very least get an acknowledgement from people in journalism that they carry these biases from being, liberals who went to Sarah Lawrence and all, I can understand that, and I would respect that a lot more than this pretend idea that these people at NPR reflect the fabric of America. I mean, how many of them own a Ford F-150 and have gone hunting before? I bet you zero. And that's fine, but at least acknowledge it and try to reflect the opinions of all Americans and not cloister yourself in that environment and declare yourself America. It's ridiculous.
Right. And okay, go ahead.
Well,
Smug.
one thing I wanted to note is the repetition of her being like, I'm confronting my whiteness, or it's important to understand that this is how whiteness operates. They have to make these statements of self-flagellation because it's like these communist struggle sessions. To be allowed into the modern Democratic Party, you have to say, I am confronting these biases and my whiteness, and I need to do the work. You have to put out those buzzwords, or you're not allowed into the club. Because if she's being honest, she's like, well, I was raised in Connecticut. I'm a blue blood. I've had everything handed to me. So what the hell would she know about the issues that people face in America? She's never faced any issues. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
but at least she feels bad about it,
position,
Smug. At least she feels bad about it. That's what makes her better than you.
That's right.
His greatest offense was that he wouldn't conform.
The reason she can't focus on any of this is she's too busy organizing the McGuy-POC meeting of the Marginalized Genders and Intersex People of Color mentorship program of NPR. That's why you no longer have balance on the radio, because she's busy organizing McGuy-POC meetings. Let me tell you a story about a guy named Leo Grillo. Leo was on a road trip and came across a Doberman. This dog was severely underweight and clearly in trouble. Leo rescued the dog and named him Delta. Sadly, Delta was just one of many animals that needed help, and this inspired Leo to start Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They've rescued thousands of dogs, cats, horses too, from the wilderness, and they provide their animals with shelter, love, safety, a home. April marks 45 years since Leo rescued Delta. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions to keep going. If you would like caring for these animals to be part of your legacy, speak with your estate planner, because there are tax benefits here too. You can grow your estate while letting your love for animals live well into the future. Check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more and speak with your advisor. We call dog a man's best friend for a reason. You can help those who need it most. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. deltarescue.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.